I know that Edgar Rice Burroughs' 1912 creation is celebrating its 100th birthday this year. Its DNA is in everything from Star Wars, Avatar, Superman. I don't know, for the uninitiated, how you describe John Carter. I kind of think that maybe it's Indiana Jones and the Spiders from Mars. Maybe there's...
Yeah, it's hard for me to see it objectively. But it's about a American Civil War veteran about 100 years ago who suddenly mysteriously finds himself thrown on the surface of Mars, where it turns out there's been civilization and history going on for the same length of time, if not longer, than on Earth, and he has a crucial role that he's meant to play in it that he had never predicted, and that's pretty much it fundamentally. But what we've tried to do is really make it an origin story, make it about a guy who's written off what he thought life was about and realizes that we can't write our own chapters, that our chapters are already kind of written for us, and you never know what the next chapter is going to be around the corner. So
you make a beautiful job of the action sequences here and the love story, which I think is crucial in this sort of balance. And you may be the true princess of Mars because your wife Julie reckons you're just gay enough to get to get the romance right.
That's me saying that all the time. Yeah. Yeah, no, I've always been a sucker for good romance, and I kind of seem to always want a little of it or a lot of it, depending on whatever subject I am. I mean, I've always been one of those guys that listens to the music and almost ignores the lyrics. You know what I mean? There's just the way people are wired up, so I'm just so intoxicated by the emotion of things. That, you know, years can go by, and then they go, you realize that song's about incest. Oh, I had no idea. I was just, you know, I just loved the tune so much. So I'm always sort of swept away by the romantic potential of things. So sometimes that's literally romance, or sometimes it's just like in something like this, it's the romance of adventure, the romance of exploring, you know.
Despite the fact that you're part of the great Pixar, and you've given us already Finding Nemo and Wall-E, you said that I never think about the audience. If someone gives me a marketing report, I throw it away. Given that a lot of the marketing reports around this are sort of made headlines, I don't know if that was easy this time to sort of pull yourself away from the huffing and puffing that Hollywood sometimes does to look for a story.
It's all speculation. Nobody knew what they were talking about. I knew what we have, and I know what it's like for people once they see the movie. And it's always been like, people forget that there's been speculation. There was so much in front of Toy Story. There was so much in front of Nemo. There's so much in front of Wall-E for me. I mean, they forget it the minute they see the movie and like it. Then it's like they're brainwashed, and they forget all the doubt and speculation prior. They don't realize that from our standpoint, that's just kind of always been par for the course. It seems to be that everybody always asks for something original, yet when somebody starts doing that, then it's doubt until it comes out. It's this weird catch-22. So
I know that Marvel Comics, you said, were the kind of gateway drug for you into John Carter.
Yes.
Back in the 1970s when you were a kid. And during the making of Wall-E in 2006, John Favreau, one of the latest in a long line of filmmakers to walk away from John Carter, not able to quite get it right. You ring Disney, say, I'd love to do this. 2 months later, they ring back, say, we got it, you can do it. Did a part of you go, oh my God, what have I just done? Because
every part of me did that. Every part of me went like, oh, you know, I was just... it's because, and I tell you, the filmmaker in me almost wanted to say no, because I knew how to see it the way we've now realized it. I knew it was not going to be, there would be nothing easy about it. But the fanboy in me had spent 30 plus years waiting to see this. It just kind of trumped all that filmmaker anxiety and just said, this is it, dude. If this is the only way it's finally going to get to the screen, you got to do it.
Were there moments, I'm thinking, you know, some people say it's somewhere between 200 and 300 million, the budget. It's a big film, and it was always kind of, you came in on budget on time, you did your reshoots as planned, and everything went exactly to plan. So, you know, everything worked out well. But as I said, most importantly, it's a great film at the end of it. But in the middle of all this, when you're in, say, the Utah desert, and you've got 4 or 5 hour shutdown because of a sandstorm, you've got all these crazy kind of costumes around you. Was there parts of you that sort of, you know, wobbled at all? That, you know, had any kind of moments of, this is kind of crazy?
Oh, yeah, but at the same time, you go in going, we're pregnant. There's no going around this. The baby's coming. It's like, you know what I mean? You just, you can't wish it away. I mean, it's also, another analogy is like, we've set sail. We're in the middle of the ocean. We have to keep rowing, or we have to keep sailing. So you can't really shut down. You just kind of keep going. So I was always trying to find the thrill of this. I was always trying to, when it was really tough, I would go, look at how many people get this experience. You know, I'd be a jerk to complain no matter how hard this is, because this is an experience so many people want to know what it's like. And so even on the worst days, like when with dust blowing and you've got the mask and the goggles and you're just waiting for some kind of visibility, my brain would go, maybe this is what it was like for David Lean. Maybe this is what it was like for Steven Spielberg. I'm getting a first-hand POV of all the highs and the lows of what it must be like. And that just kept it kind of thrilling for me.
I'm guessing, too, that given how beautiful Nemo and Wall-E are, that when it came to making this film, and you're a lover of film, it wasn't too much of a shock to the system to be out in the sun, actually making the movie. As much as it's a huge production, and every film will have its deep, dark, hole to get through, but I'm guessing it wasn't a huge leap for you because you're already thinking cinematically all the time about.
Yeah, exactly. Discussions with all the people working on it, as far as how we frame, where we put the lights, what people wear, no different. It just was kind of extra thrilling because you could actually touch it. You could actually react with it, as opposed to see it behind the glass of the screen on a box. And also, to be honest, I felt like a kid that had been indoors for 20 years, and suddenly I was outside breathing fresh air. I mean, there was a lot to make up for the difficulties, to keep it interesting.
You might be the first animator with a tan, you know that, right?
Oh, I never tanned. Sadly, it was wasted on me. I could have tried every day. I'd never show for it.
I think, like Woody Allen said, I don't tan, I stroke.
Yeah, pretty much.
I'm thinking, is this, when you think about that 12-year-old Andrew Christopher Stanton Jr. reading those comic books?
I'm not Christopher. That's a weird wiki
it's not
thing.
Christopher. Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's Ayers, Ayers. So,
wow, that's even cooler. How the hell did
Andrew Ayers Stanton.
Where did Ayers come from?
It's my father's middle name, and it was his father's middle name, and it's my son's middle name. We just passed
correct
it down.
that now. We'll send that word out.
Yeah, it's weird.
But
I don't know where Christopher came from.
When this 12-year-old kid, do you think that this is the movie the kid saw, or is inevitably, things
I'd like
change?
to think. I mean, I've been brooding over it for so long. It's definitely I think it's as close as I can ever muster from what I remember wanting it to be when I was a kid. I'd like to think it's better, because I've only been more educated by more and more great films since then. If you imagine your kid, you read this novel, and you're just swept away by this land and these places, and then in the same calendar year, you suddenly see Star Wars for this first time, and your mind is just blown. And to be honest, I never saw the connection. That's how different I knew the elements were in this. The inspiration I could see in Star Wars, but frankly, the thing that was wonderful about Star Wars that we all now know was that it was such a realized, used world that you just felt like that history had always been going on and would continue going on. And that's what I felt was the promise that was going to happen somehow, somewhere in my lifetime, was that somebody was going to do that with this book. And I just kept waiting and waiting and waiting, and it was never happening.
I was thinking all classic storytelling is timeless, and in many ways this film could be adapted to today. You think of the Tharks, they could be Aborigines, they could be Irish, they could be Native Americans. You think of the Heliumites, could be the good cowboys. You've got the White Apes, probably the Weinstein brothers. I was thinking, with the Therns, here they are, they manage destruction and chaos, and they feed off it.
Yeah.
So that's pretty much Goldman Sachs. So there's the whole of life, of human life is there.
To be honest with you, I did kind of, when we were writing it, I said, look, the Therns are a Western civilization, and all of Mars is a third world country. That's the only way you got to look at it to understand how the whole reasoning behind things.
I know that, as I said, it's a great film. That's all that matters. As time goes by, people always see this as a good film. But opening weekends are important to the industry, and I don't know whether you feel tempted in any way, shape, or form to take some pufferfish toxin for the weekend and just not come through, maybe for a few weeks. And
I'm always like that.
Right.
You just want to kind of like hope it survives. If you could take my pulse at the same time on every other movie I've been on, and I'm a wreck. You just care because you care so much.
And very quickly, there's a great little fan-made trailer on the JohnCarterFiles.com.
Yeah, fantastic.
Did you get a kick
trailer.
out of that?
Oh,
it was
so much so that I was like, everybody watch it. That's the thumbprint of the movie. That's the DNA.
Rock and roll. I gotta go. Lovely to talk to you again, man.
Thank you so much. Cheers.
Yeah, well done. I really was so glad that.